right, well, let's get him on because I want him to go. I know Miss Natasha Ismail had a question for him, and I know that a couple of you had questions, but we want to cut it because we had a great time this morning. All right, son, have a good time. My son just leaving. Oh, there he is. So I want Mr. Nelson to continue for part 2 from the day. But I know before we do that, Mr. Nelson, 3.0, Ms. Ismail had a question about something you had said earlier about a definition. So Ms. Ismail, you repeat your question, and then if you guys got a few questions, then we're gonna let him take the ram and run with it. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Nelson. Hi, Mr. Thomas. Good morning, guys. So you mentioned earlier wave theory. Can you please explain that? Thank you.
It's just as easy to sponsor 5 people as it is to sponsor 1. Why would you, if you're gonna plant seeds, why would you plant 1 seed at a time? It's exponential growth, right? So if you want exponential growth, it's amazing how some people, they'll sponsor. What happens is you forget your job, right? So your job description is a farmer. That's your job. If I'm a farmer, right? Are you with me, Tosh? You following this? Okay. If I'm a farmer, I don't fall in love with the seed. Okay. If I'm a farmer, I don't fall in love with a seed. My job is to plant thousands of seeds. And to find, after I plant thousands of seeds, it's like, and forgive the analogy, but just like thousands or millions of sperm are put out there, but we all have beat the odds of being here, right? Most die, right? To give, and I'm talking metaphorically in giving life. So to give life, most sperm die. To give life, most reps will die. Most prospects will die. My job is not to get and fall in love with 1 seed, but to plant thousands of seeds. And then find 3 or 4 seeds that are going to give me the greatest bang for my buck or the greatest bang for my time. And as I go through this process of a wave being 90 days, just like a season being 90 days, just like you got to pay your taxes every 90 days if you're an entrepreneur, then I'm then able to reevaluate how effective my last 90 days was and get a new season of new seeds to plant. And in that, I have to make sure that all the components are there. So it's something that goes a little bit deeper. In my 90 days, let's look at your, and I'm talking off the top of my head right now, right? So in my 90 days, do I have all the components there? Do I have a power hour to acquire customers that is creating a healthy environment of 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 of my people, depending on how many lines I'm working with, to compete in a compressed period of time? Remember, less is more. To compete in a period of time of acquiring customers and then tapping into the greatest reward, which is what Mr. Al Thomas is talking about, which is acknowledgement. So if I have 3 or 4 seeds that grow into 2 to 3 more for each of that, that's 3 times 4, hypothetically, that's 12 plus 3. Now I got 15 the next week. If I grow that farm a little bit more and I'm investing in the right seeds, then in turn that grows to 20, 30. And in that, each week, we are going into it for a power hour. And you should have, 1, a power hour for acquiring customers. You should have a power hour for acquiring or being able to attack your list and getting new reps and new prospects. You should always be testing yourself in compressed timeframes for yourself before you apply it upon someone else as to, okay, I'm going to give 30 minutes or I'm going to give an hour a day. How many people am I contacting in an hour? Not I'm going to go out there and get 10 prospects today. You should be challenging yourself, knowing that time is limited. Otherwise, it becomes a run-on sentence. It becomes on a run-on day. Okay, I'm going to reach 10 prospects for the week. No. I'm going to reach 10 prospects in this hour. And the first hour that I attempt to do that this week, I may only reach 3. And then on Tuesday, I may reach 5. And then on Wednesday, I may reach 4. And then on Thursday, I may reach 7. And then on Friday, I may only reach 2 because it's Friday. And I start to get a rhythm for being able to learn how to effectively reach the most amount. And then during my power hour, I'm also able at the tail end. And so my team is called 110 for this season. That means we give 110%. And the whole emphasis, everything is built around that 110. That means that our only goal during the month of March is to get 100 customers, not 100 points, and to bring in 10 new business partners. I want 110% from each project that I'm working with. And that focus is on a daily grind. So having started that in the beginning of the month, like 3 days ago, I have some that have reached out to 5, some that have gotten to 10, some that have gotten to 15, using all the different tactics, but every day I'm inside their head, generally 3 times a day. But are the components in place in building this wave? So to be able to create that wave, you're creating a sea of people so that the leaders will find you. Now, here's another challenge in that wave theory. Too many of you are too accessible because you haven't learned how to create value for yourself, so you have no value for other people. We have a tendency of wanting to say, I'm available to everybody. Oh, I got you. I'm going to take care of you. And because we do that, they take us in a complacent syndrome. It's like, okay, I'm high. Okay, I'm low. Okay, I'm high. Okay, I'm here. No, 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 no. So what I'm doing what I've done, because we're only at the 3rd or 4th of the month, I don't know. But after this week, 5th of the month, right? So next week, though I'm still injecting them with the inspiration, not the motivation, and inside their head, spiritually giving, I call it a spiritual chiropractor. That's where I am right now. Realigning and giving them an adjustment spiritually is what I'm doing for the first 2 weeks. But while I'm doing that, they're understanding they're only going to have limited time. So here's your slot. I haven't done it yet. Right now, I just want them on the court. I want them in the work mode. I want them in the grind of daily doing something. But once I have everyone working, which everyone is, but I'm talking about maximizing their human potential in the time they have, then you only get a slot. So that slot now is that here's your hour. And I don't want that hour where it's like, well, I only got 3 people on the call for you. No, then your hour is taken away. I want you to have 20 people and you try and jam how many people can you put me on the phone with in that hour? See, it's a two-way street. Remember the ebb and flow. So, and a lot of times the new players on the team don't know, and the leaders aren't leading properly. You need to be leading your people to let them know, we're going to make sure the foundation is set over the next 2 weeks. Then you're going to get 30. Remember, I told you that I'm giving one person on Swam Maya's team 45 days. See, the first 15 days is to lay the foundation. So the expectation is set. The next 30 days is to see, just as much as I got to prove to you that I'm about to raise your bar, you got to prove to me why I need to even be working with you. If you aren't filling up my hour, then your hour is taken away. You're wasting my time. I'm worth too much money. And all you have to do is learn how to put the people in that slot. So that slot needs how much money do you want to make per month? So let's say hypothetically for you, Tosh, that slot, you want to make $10,000 a month. Then that hour, once a week, needs to be worth $10,000 an hour, which means you better have that slot filled with more people than you can actually put in there for me to do my work. Because unless we're working together and you hear mine, meaning me, Mr. Al Thomas, any leader's conversation, to do a 3-way call, to enroll a person, to register a person, to activate a person, to really put gasoline on their spirit over and over and over and over and over and over again, you're going to constantly fail. The problem is people get to a limit or a space that they feel that they know enough, or they've accomplished enough, or they need to do everything on their own. And that's where the ceilings, that's where it stops. So long as Beethoven is willing to show me, with me, how to play the piano, why would it's the most amazing, mentally debilitating, God, I want to curse, stupid thinking I've ever heard in my life, where someone says, I don't want to waste your time. I'm going to come back to you after I make it worth your time. So you're gonna come back to me after you become Jordan and you're going to learn how to become Jordan on your own. How stupid does that sound? When Jordan is saying, I want to work with you every day in the court and share with you exactly how I do a turnaround. Every day in my work ethic, every day my philosophy, every day what it took me, how I won 5, 6 championships. I want to be with you every day for the first 90 days so you can create good habits up front. And the person says, I'm going to come back to you in 90 days, play on this court by myself and figure it out. Then I'm going to come back and so I can make it worth your time. Stupid, quit. That's just stupid. So did that help?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you.
Hornitos. Anybody else have a question? Preguntas.
Yes, Mr. Nelson, I have a question to tie with that. Can you hear me okay?
Uh-huh.
Perfect. So my question is about gaining customers. I'm peaking about 20 people a day in my cold market, like straight cold market. And I'm having an issue getting to the conversation. If they're not interested in the business, getting that customer conversation into play, like how I could help them or they could support me in my business. How would you do that in your cold market?
First of all, let's establish there's no such thing as cold market.
Okay.
If you're breathing, you're warm.
Right.
So people make that big mistake in believing that there's an actual cold market. Because if you build a true business, the people you invite in your first week, your first month, all of them you're going to know. If you're still in business 1 year later, 99% of the people in your business you will not have known. You would not, they would have been led to you in some kind of way. Referral, your downline, is everybody following me on this number? Does that make sense? So let's just throw cold and warm out the way.
Okay.
The same way that a person takes a crap, whether you know them or not, it's the same way. So the point in that conversation is the system is the same for cold, warm, black, white. It's called conversion. If I invite 20 people, listen to this real quick. This is very powerful, so you get it. If I invite you to look, and it's a psyche thing here. This is a psychological training, this one piece. If you entertained a conversation to hear about my opportunities, whether you knew me or you didn't know me, you wanted something. That means that I'm not great at creating value yet. Again, I'm not committed to the outcome. I'm committed to the income of developing my skill set. But in the interim of me creating the value for my income, what I'm putting into the business, then it really comes down to how big your why is when I'm commuting. So if a little girl comes with a little red trailer, and is selling me Girl Scout cookies, as much as I work out, as much as I'm concerned with my body fat, as much as I'm concerned with eating bad food, I may not buy the cookies for myself, but because of her commitment and her why, based on how she showed up, I will still go ahead and per se buy the cookies and give them away as a gift because of her why, because I want to support her in her cause. If your cause and everything in business has to do with value. So if people show up to your business, if people show up to see your business, if people show up to have a conversation with you, if people show up on your team to this meeting on Friday at 6, if people show up to the training we have on Monday, if people show up for a 3-way call we set up, it all is going to come down to a word called value. If you go to a restaurant, there's value. If you go on a date, there's called value. When people don't do something, then they lost the value for it. So let's get that straight. If I piqued your interest as I did outside in the hotel at that place where we're getting food, and there's enough value even in sharing what I do, which came from my heart. If I shared who I am and what I'm doing, even if my opportunity wasn't for you, if I then counter, you know what, this sounds really interesting. It's not what I'm into. It's not for me, but I really like what you're sharing. Because if you're sharing from a convicted position, then it's undisputable. There's no way anybody can ever dispute what you're sharing, because it's about my mom. It's about my family. It's about how I raised it's about everything that I love. It's about what I live and die for. I may not be able to even relate, but I can respect your conviction. And that's what Mr. Al Thomas was just saying in the beginning of this call. What? Passion. Do you guys hear the passion in my conversation right now? That passion, I call it the passion of Christ. You can't fight my passion. You aren't going to say, oh, that thing will never work. When you hear this kind of passion, all you can do is back up and say, it's not for me. Oh, you aren't going to sit up there and say, oh, I heard about this thing. I will shoot you in your head. My passion is too high. My fire is too high. My conviction is too high. So when my passion is at that level, that conviction is at that level, and you say, it's not my cup of tea, but thank you for sharing it with me from such a holy space, an authentic space, an enthusiastic space. And you say, it's not for me. I'm going to reverse it and say, I know it's not for you. But let me ask you a question. Would you consider supporting what I'm doing because it means so much to me and it would mean so much for me for you to be able to support me? If there's something that I can offer you in what I'm doing that can authentically help you and save you money, would you consider it? But it has to be done in the same breath that they said no. You cannot share the opportunity, leave it there, and then come back to them. You have to do it in the same breath that they said no, thank you to the opportunity. And let me tell you something. 90% of people psychologically, when done in this manner, do not have what it takes to say no to somebody twice if it comes from a benevolent space, a beautiful space, a heartfelt space, a passionate space. If I invite 10 people to look at my business and I do what is called a conversion, I'm converting you from a prospect to a customer, a prospect in my business to a customer, and I do it in the same space. Without fail, the numbers will never lie. You will close a minimum of 50% as your customer if they truly get your why and your conviction behind the conversation. And I hope that helped a whole lot more people than just you, Maya. Yeah. It's a very powerful, unrelentless, unstoppable mentality of being able to reach your goal. In fact, I'll even add to that. I'm actually going to, and you have to show, it's always going to come down to gratitude, authentic gratitude. You know what, Maya, I am so thankful and grateful that you even took the time to consider my opportunity because it means so much to me and my baby that is on the way. You are in, let me tell you guys something. When you guys have a birthday, when you have a holiday, when you have, if you're Black, a Martin Luther King Day, if you're Latin, when you have a, they have their own holiday. We drink on that day. Are you guys with me on that? Whatever day it is, I find every holiday, birthday, anniversary, Christmas, as an excuse to lean in with massive value, to lean into the emotion of an individual. Are you guys with me? Okay. To acquire customers and business partners. And let me tell you something, because there's more than Maya on here doing this, but I want you guys to get this. While you're pregnant, do you know how easy it is for you to get 1,000 customers? Do you know how easy it is for you to get, it doesn't matter if they're cold or if they're warm. It doesn't matter if they're Black, white, or Puerto Rican. Just being pregnant, the empathy and the sympathy of a person taking an extra 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to figure out how to support you is ridiculous. You, girl, you got the greatest reason for a person to give something away for free to say, I'm building a trust for my child and I want to make sure their education and everything. That why in itself of a child in your stomach right now can get you 100 customers, not points, this week without even trying. Without even trying. That's so off the chain. I wish I could be pregnant. I wish I could. Do you understand? I would every day, I'd make it a goal of getting 10 customers a day. I wouldn't even try to get nobody in my business. I'd say, and if you're open to an opportunity, but let me tell you what I'm building for my child. You see this right here? Every parent, every aunt, every uncle, every cousin, everyone that was resistant to you up until this point in time is your customer. Is your customer. Guaranteed. Guaranteed is your customer right now. Off the chain. Hopefully everybody got a lot out of that. Works for me.
That was amazing. Thank you.
You got, I mean, that's just, you're a walking billboard for support that everybody will empathetically jump into the water to help you For someone to say no to a newborn child is somebody you need to delete yesterday from your phone, because it now has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the child that hadn't even come into in this world, and during COVID, during this crazy time. You need as much help as you. Every person would be able to tap into that and be like, you know what? I just need to look and see. It's like I mean, Dom, his daughter had Girl Scout cookies. I only eat these cookies. I bought probably about 20, 30, 40 of them and gave them to everybody. And my mom wanted some more. My in-house, the woman who watches my mom. I mean, everybody, Miss Yancy, everybody. I'm just giving away cookies. And after I did that, I had 3 or 4 people who were like, I want to support her and I want some more cookies. You will have people give you referrals, not because they need our service, but because you're pregnant. It's like, look, we all need to, I may not have the money to buy her a gift or the money to chip in for this, or, it's even better than a wedding, even though I've used this for a wedding. It's greater than a wedding. It's a baby. You better start using that.
And I've been reluctant because I didn't know if it was like if it was appropriate, I guess. But
it's very appropriate.
Okay.
Hey, if they got GoFundMe's for some of the crap I've seen out there,
That's true.
You better learn how to give away your services and bless people along the way for that baby. You better take a stand for that baby. Screw the rest of the population and what they think.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be damned if somebody got an opinion about what I do for my son.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mr. Al Thomas, you still with me, or we just
yes,
roll?
sir. I'm thinking, I'm here cracking up. I have never got paid for what people think. I have never got a check yet, and on the check it said for what people think.
Yep.
ACL only sent us a check on results, and that's a powerful one. I like that. And if you're not pregnant, guess what? Hey, I think I might be, so I'm anticipating. Look, a pregnant lady, she's anticipating. Look, when you're pregnant, you're anticipating a baby, and now you're anticipating. I'm expecting. Yep. I'm expecting. I need some help. I'm expecting right now. Oh my God, that just blessed me off my God. I'm ready to walk around the block so I can cool off. Y'all not catching, this is some deep stuff here. He's just sharing with you some ideas just to run with. I used to tell people when I walk in a house and recruit people as IBOs, and how I got 3 states started. I walk in an open house on Saturday because they list them in a newspaper. Oh, here we go. And they listed a newspaper open house. I'd say get number 1 house stop, 2nd stop, 3rd stop, 4th stop, 5th stop. And I would go in there, and the lady would, the agent would say, can I help you? Are you looking for a house this size? I said, well, no, I'm expecting a windfall of money. Not that I got it, but I'm expecting, like a pregnant woman, I'm expecting money. And they wouldn't leave me alone. Oh my God, I'm expecting a windfall of money. What do you do? I said, oh, wait, can I show you something? Let me get my phone out. And I showed the opportunity right there on the spot. And that's how I got my real estate people going in Arizona, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and North Carolina. I got 3 lags going just by, I'm expecting money. I didn't tell them it wasn't, you can do this. I'm expecting, and not that you got it, but I'm expecting it.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. Back to you, Mr. Nelson.
I'm
expecting it.
I see a couple of hands up. Any other questions?
Dave, go ahead. Dave,
yes,
you're
Ms.
good.
Nelson, amazing, Ms. Nelson, and amazing, Al Thomas. My question is, for those who are brand new, and I mean brand new, and have been enlightened to the vision, and have seen, understand what it is, have no idea what business is, or have never been in business, what would be your advice to where that person would take his, direction, and where he would start to learn?
Happy hour on Friday night.
Pardon?
Happy hour on Friday night, right here.
Okay.
But I'll let Ms. Al Thomas answer. I don't believe in when you want to learn, when you have an appetite to learn something, whether it's the piano, Spanish, French, Italian, if you have an appetite to learn how to cook, I don't believe in the brand new mentality. Now there's a progression, right? There's stages to learning it, but a person that when your why or your purpose or it's very authentic, your space for what you're doing, then all the obstacles become obsolete. Obstacles only become an obstacle when you're inauthentic for why you're doing what you're doing. I'm gonna say that again so it makes sense, Dave. I want you to get it. If I want to climb a mountain, or if I want to learn how to skydive, or if I want to, you know, for whatever reason, you know, save a kidney, right? Because my best friend's on kidney dialysis and he's on a list, but I could bump him up to the top if I can afford to pay the price, right? So whatever that why is, for whether it is a dream or whether it is, you know, a life-threatening situation, when that becomes real to you, then the obstacles in the way become obsolete. They don't exist, because for whatever you got to do to get to the end of that other side, you will do whatever. It's like everything else is just an irritant. Getting to SVP, all the people that quit, all the customers that faded, all the purges I incurred, they were just an irritant. The people that were 100 points away from RD, the people that were right there at RBP, they fell off and I had to rebuild another leg. They were an irritant. It didn't stop my flow to my destiny. My destination, if you were on this morning, so you heard I was great before you met me. All I did was work long enough for you to see it. I had already made the decision before I started where I was going to finish. And that was my start line. So if you're authentic in being the champion and who you're being, then all the obstacles in the journey of whether you're new or whether you've been in for 6 months or 6 years, they're just an irritant. They're just in your way. It has nothing to do with the persistence and the perseverance of completing what you started. They only derail a person that is inauthentic with why they say they're doing something. They're more committed to being mediocre than they are to completing the mile as to why they did it. And if you knew it was going to save a life, if I'm brand new, new has nothing to do with my commitment level, because you are who you are. See, I was who I was. My DNA to finish what I started was who I was before I came in. I was tired of not completing a task and being challenged. It was in my DNA that every time from day one, I got everything that every one of you guys go through. It's a pyramid. No, it sounds good. Okay, I'll get back to you. Fakes, flakes, snow in LA. People that said they're going to support me, looking for leadership, looking for support. It wasn't until I decided to be the leader that I wanted to follow. Listen to what I said. It wasn't until I decided to be the leader that I wanted to follow. I would follow me to the grave. But I had to go through a progression. I had to evolve to that person. That's a decision that has nothing to do with being new or old. So where do you start? Everything starts with the decision. I got to share this with you guys. I was actually looking at, with my partner today, I was looking at, me and Don, we were looking at things that make people wealthy. Let me ask you guys something. When was the last time you saw a Heinz ketchup commercial? You haven't. But if you went to the grocery store and you needed ketchup, what's the first thing you buy? Heinz. You don't even call it ketchup. You call it, I need to get some Heinz. They separated themselves from the pack. They aren't the only ones. Let me tell you how simple it is to get wealthy. To think about something so crazy that when you go into the bathroom, any bathroom outside of your own at your house, you know what you see? You see a toilet protector. Do you know there's only one company in the world that makes that toilet protector? It's just a little sheet of paper that goes on the toilet. And I tell you, I looked them up. They are worth billions because they decided to have an idea that separated them from everybody else. There's not even in competition for it. You won't even find 2 or 3 other companies like it. They cornered the market on an idea. What's powerful about ACN is just having an idea in a system that has already worked, that has already generated billions, And you have the opportunity of taking something that already works and having an idea that you believe in and taking it to a $50 billion company, $100 billion company. Now you may say that sounds crazy. We did 5 billion in the last, 4 billion in the last 5 years, 50 billion, 100 billion ACN. You know who's going to take it there? Less than 10 people. You know why? Apple's already hit $1 trillion. Tesla's already hit $1 trillion. And all it was somebody who took an idea that already existed and put gasoline on it to explode it. See, I don't have to figure out if it's worth $1 billion to me, then it's just a matter of finding the people to build it to 100 billion. And if I know that it's going to be 10 billion within less than 5 years, I just have to find the 5 to 6 people who believe that it's going to be 10 billion as well, and we split $1 billion apiece. I'm not worried about all the people who don't, that are trying to figure out how to be able to get to an ETL or just put $100 in their pocket or put 1,000. If I don't have people who understand Illium behind their name, they should not be in my space, because it's already been done. It's like McDonald's. They already built McDonald's. All I have to do is own 10 of them, and I can, the system, the special sauce, the Big Mac, I don't have to figure out the Big Mac. It's already selling. I have to figure out the fries. It's already done. Why would I go and why would I want to go and create and have to go through what has, all I got to do is buy the franchise, master a system that's already been put in place, and be more effective and efficient than anybody else with being able to acquire more franchises and building more in a system. I don't have to figure out the system. All I got to do is find the people that said, you know what, the system's already done. You tell me if I do this, I get that. Let's go. And we could do what they did in the last 27 years in the next 7. Let's go. It's going to happen anyway. It's just a matter of who it is. I choose me. Now I choose we. Let's go. It just makes too much sense to me. Get rid of distractions, find people that are focused, understand people that have goals and dreams and are willing to work for it with character and integrity, and truly just go and put their head down and look up after it's been built. And then you have the walls and the Tower of Babel. And then I'll come with the trumpets and we'll rebuild it again. Okay, you're gonna have to go read scripture on that. I'm sorry, never mind.
Sergio, you had your hand up, go ahead.
Hi, this is Sergio from Central Mexico. Glad to be here. Can you hear me? Awesome. Well, my next question's got to do with like polishing communication skills. Mr. Nelson, I consider you having superb communication skills, but it's got to do with building rapport with prospects, finding that common ground, and maybe I don't know, sharing creating like a shared experience with like mutual attentiveness. I don't know if you could just kind of touch base. It was a while back. You set an example of you were piquing a teacher, a school teacher, and you responded by saying, "I teach too." You know, you find that common ground with people. Maybe maybe some tips that could probably help everybody.
So I'm gonna give you three tips. The first one is to set up a time with me to have a 15-minute conversation. We don't need an hour conversation, just a 15-minute conversation. Okay, anytime next week. That's step 1. Step 2, I would get my hands on. There's so many extraordinary leaders, but I'm gonna tell you, I would be on YouTube looking at everything I could get my hands on in regards to John Maxwell and everything I could get my hands on in regards to Jim Rohn. Now, when we talk, I'll give you some other gold nuggets where you go. But I would fall in love with the old, the new, merge it and become one. Between those two, if you just took those two alone, John Maxwell, and you took Jim Rohn, and you fell in love with every video you could get your hands on. Now, when we talk, I have some others I want to give you, but I don't want to have to expand upon that. Then in turn, and that's all you listen to. That's all you listen to, is their conversation. And what will happen is their language, you will internalize. Their stories. Like, I'll give you an example. See, and write this down, Serge. Stories sell, facts tell. Stories sell, facts tell. I was sharing with my team the other day, and you guys heard me that we're on this morning about being a spiritual chiropractor. I've learned to only take certain clients these days because some people got the devil so deep in them, you need to run. But for those that truly do seek that alignment, that congruent alignment from a higher standard, I love doing spiritual chiropractor work for alignment, for realignment. So I'll give you an example, sir. Check this out. There's two kids, one that's very optimistic. He's so optimistic, he scares the crap out of his parents. He's like, this kid is just too happy and too optimistic. He finds good in everything. He's going to be let down one day. Somebody's going to steal his soul. He just gives and just is happy, and it's just, he finds the good in everything. It's like, we need to caution him because the world is not like that. And then there's another child, and he has a twin brother. And he's like, this child is negative. He's cynical about everything. I mean, everything. I'm just everything. We're gonna have to get him help too, because with this attitude, he's never gonna have a good life. There's nothing benevolent gonna come from this. So Christmas comes, and they have their rooms next to each other. And they said, okay, they talked to the doctors, they talked to the advisors, they said, here's what you do. For the cynical child, get him everything that he could ever possibly want for Christmas. Everything he could possibly want. Fill his room with toys, everything he loves. And for the positive child, fill his room with nothing but manure to the highest point. Christmas Eve comes and Christmas Day happens, and he walks up, and the parents are looking, and they go to the first child, which is the negative, cynical child. And of course, he's just as he always is. He's like, I got to figure out I don't know how to read. My friends are going to make fun of me. And I got to get batteries. I don't even know what batteries are. I got to put stuff together. I'm going to mess it up. As soon as I put it together, it's going to break. And they're listening to this child, and they're like, my God, he just got everything he ever wanted. So they go to the next room, which is with his twin brother. And his twin brother's sitting there. He's like, all right, let's see what he's doing. And the twin brother is jumping up and down in a pile of shit. Just having the biggest smile you could ever see, Serge. Biggest smile you could ever see. Smiling and jumping, he actually got his red wagon, got his shovel from way back. He's just digging in the manure, just having a good old time, like, oh, just diving in and coming out with shit all over his face. And the parents looked at him and said, what the hell are you so happy about? You know what the child said? He said, with all this shit and manure, Daddy, there's got to be a pony at the bottom of this. They came up with understanding that you can't change people. People have to want to change. But in that story, tells so much about your attitude, what I talked about this morning, an attitudinal adjustment. Spirit plus attitude will change your actions and your outcome. Your actions are to learn. Be able to learn how to take, shit and turn it into sugar, or better stated, lemonade, lemons into lemonade. I would not change anything that I've gone through with adversity, obstacles, and challenges, because I just know that I was meant to overcome everything and help others that are in my space overcome and be an example for them to be better at I don't care what it is. The devil won't win. It won't win. And no matter how stressful it is, so like you're talking about as far as communication, once you identify it, write it down. And what I want you to do, Serge, I want to tell you what I want you to do. When you wake up do this for 30 days. When you wake up in the morning and you go to bed at night, I want you to write down in your journal, I am the best communicator in the world. I am the best communicator in the world. I am the best communicator in the world. You can even add to it, but I want that 10 times minimum. You can add on to that. Anyone I talk to feels my heart. Everyone I talk to understands me. I don't care what language they speak. They will hear me through my heart. They will understand how much I care. But the beginning of that is I am the greatest communicator in the world. I am the greatest communicator in the world. You take that, you add that to John Maxwell, you add that to Jim Rohn, start listening and internalizing your conversation. Every day, I want you to hear one of their conversations for 30 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, for 30 days. And get my number and you text me, we'll have another conversation. But you'll see how your mind will shift and how you will become the most unstoppable at being able to share anything with anybody. Because that's your commitment. Oh, you're going to understand me and how much I care. You're going to understand me, how much I want to shift you and change your life. And the right people will, golly, they're just being, even the people who don't need their life changed, be like, I need to know Serge. You'll get people referring, you need to meet Serge. You just need to, when you meet people, what do? I'm the greatest communicator in the world to be able to share how to change people's lives. That's who the hell I am. That's how I was born. It becomes your mission, what I talked about this morning. What is your mission? Who are you? This is who I am. I pray that helped other people as well. Serge, we'll talk soon. Love you, man.
All right.
Mr. Nelson, I just wanted to say one thing. You mentioned, I think it was Dave beforehand. At the very end, you talked about eliminating distractions. And I realized last week that I was creating distractions and not realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
I was being a problem to myself and I had no idea. And now that I've completely eliminated those distractions that social media can cause, because I'm peeking through social media, but it's an easy way for me to like lose my train of thought. So I've just put pause on that for a while. And I've gotten so much done in the last 2 days. So I just wanted to encourage people to just look within to see where you might be being your own distraction and not realizing it.
100%. Most people find a way to self-destruct themselves. So, and again, with social media, if it's not to alienate or dismiss social media, even though I'm actually shutting off all my social medias. I haven't been on them in months, but literally I have not been on them at all. I used to live on there. It's like, just like most people, right? It's like, but I have not. And I think I shared with you guys that I'm actually shutting everything's shut off. But one of the things I would share is if you're going to utilize it, go in with a mission and a goal. I'm going to contact 10 people a day and get off. Not read the stories, not see how my friend is doing, not see the likes, not see what people are doing on this or that. Just 10 people in Messenger and reach them with a voice print, maybe people that you may not have direct communication with, or if you're working cold market, or people that are in your request base, which I've taught many times. That's it, 10 people a day and get out. And I've had to shut it down. I mean, it's like maybe once or twice a week, it will pop up. I'll go through and I'll say, oh, that popped up, like, and get the hell out, get out. You know, I think they wrote a movie for the Black person. Get out. Get out. And learn how to have fun. I think Sam saw that movie too. Get out.
Terry, you have your hand up. Go ahead. I unmuted you.
Yeah. This is a question for Byron.
Terry, nobody didn't call me Byron, but go ahead. I'm gonna let you get away with it. You've been around me way too long, but go ahead.
No, my friend is in the French Alps, and she's not business oriented, and she wanted me to send her a link to learn more about the company. And I didn't really want to send her an ACN link. Do you have any other suggestions?
Send her a testimonial. Send her, you know, I like the SVP and the RVP testimonials, number one. Those, if you've been studying those, that in itself, it doesn't scream ACN, it screams life. You know, it screams what this business has done for someone else's life. So you find the testimonial or the RVP, SVP testimonial that relates more to the most to who she is as a human being. And that's who you send it to. That's what you send.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, hon. Batman?
Hi, Mr. Nelson. I got the asking for the service in the same breath as they say no to the business. Will
I
that
can't
make
hear you. Is everybody else? And I don't think anybody can hear you. Bill is even leaning over into the computer.
Can you hear me now?
I mean, you're coming through faint. Do you have a mic or what are you doing?
Yeah, it's on my phone. Can you hear me now?
Are you covering your mic, Padme, from the bottom?
Hold on. Is that better?
We'll make it work. What's
Bro,
your
you're
question?
gonna have to yell.
Yell. Okay, so basically asking for the service in the same breath. I just wrote that down, so I'm gonna start doing that. But in addition to that, the favor, help, try isn't working for me because I have people coming back to me and saying, what do you need my help for? Like they don't look at me as someone who needs help. So how do I overcome that? Because I use favor, help, try, and it's not been working for me.
Then what that's sharing with you is there's something inauthentic in your heartfelt conversation. Something's being missed. They don't believe you.
Okay.
There's something being missed. I mean, you might want to record it, let Al, let myself, let any vice president listen to your conversation, but there's something inauthentic. If I tell somebody you can stand on a corner right now and ask for $1 and you walk away with $100 after a couple of days. Just because if somebody really believes that you need some money, if you really look like you're going to, a person who really needs help, it's within the human psyche DNA to naturally help other people before they help themselves.
Right.
So there's something inauthentic in your sharing or ask that they're missing.
Okay. I gotta figure out what that is because
You might want to record it. Shoot it to me. I'll tell you what it is.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. Dave, you have your hand up. You got another question? Is that a repeat?
Hi, my second question is, in understanding that you mentioned John C. Maxwell. Now, in understanding that this is a leadership business and you become a leader. Now, he mentions like the #1 rule for like the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership.
Irrefutable laws of,
And he mentions the first rule in the law of the lid.
Correct.
Can
6, you can't deny.
So can you just explain a little bit how that would interpret a little bit to understanding your number and where you are in your own business and how to I guess develop, like, understand your number, like what you are and
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the best metaphor would be if you're making $50,000 a year, it's going to be very hard to reach somebody who makes $500,000 a year. So that's the most real lid I can give you is people that make $50,000 a year know other people that make $50,000 a year. People that make $100,000 know other people make $100,000. If you looked at $100,000 a year person and your lid, let's just say for $100,000 for me and Alice, a different conversation. Let's say for the average person, right? So for the average person, $100,000 a year income is generally about a 9 for the average person. Okay, is that making sense? So if somebody makes $100,000 a year, for the average person in the world, that would be considered an 8 plus 9. So if you're making $40,000, $50,000 a year, to reach a person makes 100,000, that means that 50,000 on a scale of 1 to 10 would be at a 5. Let's say every $10,000 is a notch. So at 5, you're at 50,000. At 10, you're at 100,000. Okay. If I'm a 5, I probably have people around me that are at a 4 and at a 6. I can't jump from a 5 to a 10 prospect without having grown myself to an 8, 9 for them to have a real listing to what I'm talking about. Why, if I'm at 100,000, would I be listing to somebody at $50,000 a year? Now, I'm not saying it's not doable with shrewd techniques, but to attract, keep, and grow someone at 100,000, you can't grow me if you're only making 50,000. So the lid conversation is to grow you from a 5 to a 6 to a 7 to an 8. And your income is in direct proportion to your knowledge base applied. Now, you normally heard me say your income is in direct proportion to your knowledge base, meaning you can't make any more than you know. But it really is your income is in direct proportion to your knowledge base applied. I know a lot of people that have the knowledge base of a 10, but they're still operating at a 5 because they never applied it. That would be the person in the stands that has an acute knowledge of the game on the court, but LeBron's making 130 million a year while the person in the stands is making 60,000 a year. For a reason. LeBron is applying the knowledge. So to get to the 9, 10, you're going to have to go from 5 to 6 to 7. That's a progression over time to become something greater and bigger. Every year you should be growing, and so should your income, which then gives you a vast opportunity to reach. If I'm a 6 now, I can reach a 7. If I'm a 7, I can now reach an 8. If I'm an 8, I can now reach a 9. Did that help? Are you understanding me?
Yeah, he has a somewhat slight different kind of version to that in understanding, but that makes a little bit of sense to what you're talking about, I guess.
And I'm very familiar with this lit conversation. If you go back and listen to it in the audio or reading, he will be very, very clear that if you're, I'm just using money as an analogy and a metaphor, right? So his is all about, and just so we're clear, I'm using money, he uses influence.
Yeah, well, he just states that, like, and understand that becoming that leader. So, like, your leadership, anybody in your business, they like, if you're at a 5, you everybody under your business is only like a 4. Like, it can only go as high as you.
And you are.
Like, so,
Right.
and in order for your business to grow, you got to go to a 9.
110%.
So your business has potential, right? So I'm just delving on understand leadership and getting more creating
100%.
You know, it's the leadership qualities that it needs for this business. So I need to learn how to learn, and that's what I've been. And John C. Maxwell with Jim Rohn, I agree incredibly. Like those are my two. Was one of my like two of my go-tos, also.
Yeah, like Sam said, it works when you work it.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Nelson.
Yes, sir, Jack.
What's up? I was listening, and I just want to make this real simple, because oftentimes, here's the thing. Look, I'm gonna just be really blunt. ACN is freaking simple. Leadership is freaking simple. It's influence. So if you're reading John C. Maxwell and you want to go to a different level, there's nothing complicated about it. All you have to know is Mr. Nelson, Mr. Thomas, the mentors that you're working with, they're at a higher level. So if you're around them, you'll raise your lid. That's the simplicity behind it. There's nothing complicated about it. It's as simple as plug into the people that are higher than you. And it's not it's not a Bible thing. It's like Natasha said, it's a law of association. So you are who you hang around. So if you hang around people that are higher than you than where you want to go, you will gravitate to where they are, because their conversations will become yours. So I just want to make sure we keep it simple. That's all.
100%.
Mr. Julian Lewis, Al Thomas. Bingo.
Mr. Nelson?
Don't complicate it. Keep it simple.
So to add to what Julian just said, Dave, if you go to the YouTube channel, I believe it was late last year, Mr. Nelson did a training on raising your frequency. That's on the YouTube channel. And those trainings are bomb. Like, watch those trainings and he explains everything in there.
Salud.
We got time for like one more question, maybe two. One more question.
That's for anybody.
I have a question, if nobody else has a question right now. Oh, Maya, did you want to go ahead?
I think Sway did.
I had a question in regards of just attitude. What is the attitude you really want to show up with?
What is the attitude you want to show up with?
Yes.
Man, that could be a long conversation. But the short answer is, I like the answer of treat people the way you want to be treated. How would you like somebody to inspire you every day? How would you like somebody to be able to wake you up every day? How would you like to wake up, and what look would you like to see on Maya's face every day that you wake up? What would you like to hear coming out of her mouth every day to be able to build you up as a man, show you that you can take over the world and know that you can actually be the king of not just a castle, but an entire land. Like you could take over all of Ireland, like you can own all of Australia and be able to wield that to your child's next generation. How would you like to see that? What would you like to see coming out of her, since she's the closest thing to you, every freaking day, no matter what shows up in your life? And that's who you become in order to put it into the universe to be able to come back to you. And that's attitude. Attitude always gives you your altitude, that will give you your longitude, that will show you your destination as to where you want to be.
Ms. Nelson, I know you've said that a couple
times. It's always how you react and how you respond to something. I don't even like react, how you respond. It's that attitude. Shit's going to happen. Negative is going to happen. Bad news is going to show up. But how you receive it and how you show up to fight it is a whole different conversation. And that's the distinction between those that live at the greatest frequency in life and those that die on the vine and become a casualty of somebody else's war. I have but one mentor, one doctor, one coach, one voice that I listen to. Edmund, yes, I was going to say that. I didn't want to give too many. So you're 100%, yes. But since it is that, my Dr. Miles Monroe is my personal mentor. For those that don't know, he has, and it's in the chat. Edmund knows me too well. You can click on that and just understand everything about attitude, as I've learned everything from him. But everything about that, when I said that I have one doctor, one mentor, one coach, one voice, is one God. I'm not buying nobody else's BS of what can and can't happen.
Dr. Miles Monroe is my hero.
110%.
We had a chance to chat and spend some time together, and we used to have the same kind of way of transferring each other across the world. We had a great time before he died. Great time down in Dallas, Fort Worth. Him and I spent several hours together chatting.
Now you see why I hang out with Mr. Al Thomas.
Matter of fact, the first time I went to the Bahamas, the first thing I did when I landed in the Bahamas, I said, I want to go to the Bahama Ministries.
Yeah.
Because I want to give homage to that man.
Yep.
He's got the best book I ever read on relationships.
Ever.
That man is amazing.
Can I say something? Can I say something?
Please.
Yeah, my name is Sandra. I'm from the UK. Before Dr. Miles Monroe died, me and my husband, we were thinking of where do we want to retire to? Not retire, but go and, somewhere in the sun, because it's cold in England. And we were going to the Bahamas because of Dr. Miles Monroe was there. We planned that we were going to be in his church. And when he died, wow, that was devastating, but we still follow his teachings.
Yeah. I'm right. Just like Mr. Al Thomas said, he is actually the first person, second person, my father, that saw my anointing. My first conversation about being an orator and being a speaker and being an author was with Dr. Monroe in a very quiet, closed space. So, and his whole thing, his whole piece, as Mr. Al Thomas said, on understanding who you are amongst the world versus what the world is amongst you, is amazing. His teachings are not even legendary, they're mythical.
Yeah, very much so, Mr. Nelson. Nobody has come even close to his anointing when it comes to. Matter of fact, when I last time we were together in the Bahamas for our RVP retreat, I took Mr. Lance with me, and I got a limo, and we went down to Baytown.
Yep.
To pay homage to him, and I took Mr. Lance Winberg with me. Went down to Baytown.
Yeah.
And because Baytown is the ghetto in the Bahamas where he grew up in, and the houses were so small you could put them on a rock, and 4 corners of rock, and then they had rats in there at night coming in, and here he is hanging out with Prime Minister. But just to give homage to Mr. Dr. Miles Monroe was just amazing for me to go down. I was crying all the way. Lance was right. I said, man, you don't realize what this man means to not only me, but to the world.
I remember when you did that, sir. I was in the Bahamas with you. I drove by there. Well, yes.
Yeah.
100%. In fact, we should have Mr. Al Thomas, we should have a leadership, you and I, there in the Bahamas, just with our teams when this thing lets
That
up.
might be a great idea because they don't understand. My lineage come from him. It's like your lineage come from him. People don't realize who he is, and the lineage, you know, of greatness comes through lineage. Wow.
Yeah.
One
That's
more
awesome.
question, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna let Mr. Nelson go tonight. One more question.
Mr. Nelson,
Yes, ma'am.
so I have a last question for the entire group. Since the convention is only 15 days away, can you give everybody some language, please, on how to edify and paint the vision and invite for the event? Thank you.
This goes into being non-negotiable with the invitations of first, you have to set a specific goal. I have that going on with a couple of things. I'm on a crunch time with a couple of projects, and then I use the same system all the time. I put together a grocery list, and then I do a process of elimination. And then after I do that, I attack the list. So I put together a grocery list. And what one has to understand is many of the people you're looking for, you don't even know yet. They're going to come from that grocery list though, right? So I may have a grocery list of 50 people and 20 are enrolled in my conversation and the 20 lead me to another 70. So you have to set a specific goal. We have 15 days before, I'm going to say 14 days. And that's the only thing one needs to be eating and sleeping. I mean, here's my mentality. And I have so much, you know, I need 29, 30 hours in a 24-hour day. I really do right now, because there's just so much, you know, that is pulling on me. But I wouldn't wish for anything else because it makes me grow. You know, I was just having this conversation with a girl. It just makes you grow. But here's the thing. If you were given $1,000 for every person you contacted for the 19th presentation, how many people would you have contacted today? See, you're worried about who to talk to, how many contacts you made today. But I want you to understand, if you were given $1,000 for every invitation, and you were given a bonus of $2,000 for everyone that showed up, which then gets past the watered down invitation of, well, I reached 20 people today. No. That you actually gave your full-fledged invitation, and every person showed up, you got $3,000 for. But you started with $1,000 for every person you contact, and you have 15 days. It ends at 5 o'clock on Friday. How many people would you have reached today? You could count them. That's $5,000 today. That's $20,000 today. That's $30,000 based on you contact. And oh my God, based on how effective you were with your invitation, that's another $2,000 added onto it. And you know the people, and so I want you guys to understand this. This is a very powerful conversation, because if I got 15 days and I reached 20 people for 15 days, that's 300 invites. That's 300 times 10. That's 30,000 with a potential 2,000 bonus for everyone that accepts it. And let me tell you, you know the person that's going to make $30,000 off of this national is the one who actually got what I just said. You know why most of you will not make $30,000 between April and May? It's because you didn't buy what I just told you. You don't even believe it. It's just a theory to you. It's a hypothetical. I can promise you the person that reached 20 people a day and figured out how to make it an impactful invitation for 15 days, which would put you 10 times 15 is 150, would give you 300 invites. I can almost assure you by June, you would make, the person that actually took this up and took on this game would actually make $30,000 before the end of June. I tell you, I'm so committed to knowing that if a person did that and you didn't make a 5-digit income within 90 days of the time that you did what I just told you to do, I would give you $5,000. And this is being recorded. If you did this with the coaching of your mentor, your upline, which is either Al Thomas, myself, or another RVP, Julian, whoever it is, it's impossible that you would not make a 5-figure income within 90 days or less. If you didn't make a 5-figure income, I'll give you $5,000. I could actually offer you $50,000 because the people who are going to do it anyway, and the people that aren't, and 99.9 aren't going to do it anyway, because you're going to use life as an excuse as to why you don't have the belief system yet. Until you have blind faith and you have to do something, it's just a great conversation. Now, there's a few crazy people I know on here that will actually do it. But notice I said with the leadership and support and mentorship of your upline, not sit up there throwing toilet paper up against the ceiling, hoping it's going to stick. But you actually had an accountability system. You actually acted like you actually put up $50K to do this business, and you had to reach 300 people before the national. So if Tasha's asked me what I would do, what mentality I would have if I was not an SVP on this call, and I had a huge why that I truly knew I needed to fulfill, and I really needed to make an obnoxious amount of money over the course of the next year. Not looking for microwavable money, not looking for a quick start, not looking for $1 million in a day, not sitting up there living off a wish, but I really need and want this business to work more than anything on the planet. Here would be my instructions that came in the box. 300 exposures, 20 people a day for 15 days with an extraordinary follow-up plan, an amazing enrollment conversation set up, at least 4. Heck, you can get Julian to do one. You could get Mr. Nelson to do one, Mr. Lewis to do one, Mr. Nelson, Mr. Al Thomas to do one, Miss Jocelyn Driscoll to do one. You got 4 people, they'll do one. That shit, it only costs us 10 minutes. We have one person who said, I'm going to reach 300 people. And you set up 4 calls. Now, none of us are going to do 4 calls for you per se. But Mr. Al Thomas will do one call for my team. I'll do 1 call for anybody on this team. Jocelyn, we do this in our sleep anyway. We're already doing it. But don't fall short of the numbers when all you had to do was invite and figure out how to have an effective, efficient invitation. What? I need is one person crazy enough to do it. Are you serious? We pray for that anytime. If we could get one person throughout the year to do that. Just all out massive action, AOMA. So we could prove that it works. That would be my GPS, Tosh.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, love.
Judith has her hand up also, so I don't know if you want to take the last question.
Last question, and we're done. Mr. Al Thomas told me I'm not supposed to take any more, but I'll take one more.
Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, Mr. Nelson. So I just want to know, can you share 1 or 2 effective enrollment conversation or question or conversation we could use to invite? 1 or 2?
1. Hi, Judith. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
When it's 2021, do you want to change your life?
Absolutely.
Excellent. I have a call that's taking place next Monday at 8 o'clock. You have a choice, Monday at 8 o'clock or Wednesday at 12 o'clock, because I got 4 calls set up. Which one do you want to get on? Well, what's it about? Doesn't matter. It's about changing your life. Which call do you want to get on? I need you for 5 to 7 minutes.
Awesome.
It's a command call. In fact, if you're taking notes, write this down. You need to learn a call to action conversation. My invitation is a call to action conversation. Leaders master a call to action conversation. I'm calling you to action. I'm not calling you for interest. I don't give a freak what it is. I'm raising money for this. I need to know if you're going to contribute. You say yes or no. I really don't care. This is what I'm doing. Look at my video. I don't care what I'm doing. You guys are used to asking and being nice and being soft and trying to pick and choose. I'm not. This is my life on call. If I gotta explain my life on call, you probably shouldn't be on my phone, in my phone list. I need to delete you. This is a great space and time. Are we in spring? It's March. Isn't March spring? Is March spring? March is spring. You know what March, we know what spring is known for? Spring cleaning. Get rid of all the excess with a call to action. I am complete. Ms. Al Thomas, I'm turning over to you. We're taking no more calls. I'm done.
Wow.